Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today I have another deck to show off. This time it's going to be a Soviet deck, and despite the United Front just coming out, this deck doesn't actually use any of the United Front cards. If you want to see me playing some United Front decks specifically, you can go to my Twitch VODs where I did a stream on, I did a couple of streams I think on playing around with a couple of different United Front decks, and I'm sure I will have videos about United Front decks in the future, but the deck that I'm having the most fun on right now is actually a Soviet Germany deck. And this is both a very fun deck, I think it's also a very competitive deck, but importantly, it is a deck that you can get levels on with Soviets much faster than if you played Soviet Britain, which is my other go-to Soviet deck right now. The issue is the average game length of that deck is probably like 25 minutes, whereas the average game length of this deck is probably like 8 minutes. So let's first take a look at the curve of this deck before we get into the cards, and you will notice that there is 22 one-cost cards, and then the rest of the curve is pretty flat across the 2, 3, 4, and then dipping a little bit into the heavier cards. So, with that, you'd think that this deck is quite aggressive, and it can be on the a bit on the aggressive side, and it certainly wins its games or loses its games faster than Soviet control. But it is not as aggressive as you might think for a deck with 22 one-cost cards. You can get a lot of value out of those 22 one-cost cards. So let's take a look at what they are. So first up, we have the Bloody Sickle. This is just a classic Soviet card. Deal 1 damage, draw a card. It's good to just cycle through your deck, so it means you don't have to put in... It sort of makes up for the lack of card draw if your deck is just smaller, so to say, if you have a bunch of one-cost draw a card cards. Also, this is just a great way to not lose against Aggro if you're going second. Then we have the Engineers. This is the only form of healing in the deck, which is incredibly important because games that you aren't winning on like turn 6, you'll probably need health because there is 12 plus ways of damaging yourself in this deck on top of your opponent trying to damage you. So the Engineers is fairly important. Then we have the 97th Rifles. This is just very straightforward. One cost, draw a card. We have 3 Suppression. So Suppression is useful getting through guard to push damage, getting rid of like early snowbally cards such as like Nakshub, or if you're playing against like the Smokescreen deck and they've put a bunch of buff cards onto a single Type 92, then you can just Suppression, shut it down, as well as if you have an air unit, you will draw a card, and we will get to quite a few air units, because the next card is 3 copies of Claim the Skies. This is, again, just a very early game tempo card. If you can get a cheap fighter or air unit, this deck is only fighters, but if you can get a cheap air unit on the board and you can get an early Claim the Skies, or even in the mid game, it can let you, if you get a bit of a beefier fighter down on the board, it can let you sort of attack with that twice, essentially, in one turn, taking out 2 things. It can get through Smokescreen, which is really useful. Then we have Zhukov, again, just 1 credit draw card. You will see a lot of 1 credit draw card. We have 2 Erados, so this is the first set of the fighters, also 1 credit draw card. Then we have 3 Aunt Fridas, and this is sort of the main, the primary value engine of the deck is just 3 Fridas, and you'll see the deck is called Threaded. That's because with this deck, you need to thread your deck. It's a little bit like a combined arms style deck, where you have a lot of different pieces that synergize with parts of your deck and not with other parts of your deck. So you want to draw your deck in kind of a certain order. That does happen way more often than you might think, just because of how many of these cards are just 1 credit draw cards. So, like, really your deck size is more like 25, not 40. And when you have your deck size is functionally 25, it's a lot easier to draw 1 copy of, like, 2 specific cards that you need, that you're running 4 of both of them. Now, an example of one of these other cards is the 12th Guards Mechanized, so this is again 1 credit draw cards. And this one you need a 4 attack tank to trigger, and we have yet to get to a 4 attack tank. We've yet to get to any tank, period. We've gotten 1 fighter and a handful of infantry, no tanks, and we have 3 Aunt Fridas and the 12th Guards. Let's keep going down, though. We have a single copy of Blitz Doctrine. This was a later addition to the deck, just because I was having certain games against certain control decks where I would just, like, run out of value, and not run out of value as in like I run out of cards in my hand. Like I would reach fatigue and not have enough value to end out the game against like really grindy control decks. So I just threw in a Blitz Doctrine in there. It's not a Blitz Doctrine deck. You don't really have time to, or the desire to go for Blitz Doctrine early in the game unless your hand is an absolute stinker. Blitz Doctrine is more in there for once you like run out of things to use your credits on. You just go for a Blitz Doctrine and you buff up any tanks you'll draw later, and maybe you get like a big finisher off the Blitz Doctrine. Then we have two Chaikas. Again, this is just a sticky fighter, great with Claim the Skies, great with suppressions. The Yak 7, again, just a cheap early fighter. It can work with suppression, work with Claim the Skies. It can also draw you cards. Then we have 4 SUs, so this is the first tank that has shown up. It will also trigger the 12th card Mechanized. 1 Zoostora, used to be 2, and I took out 1 for the Blitz Doctrine. But again, just another, a bit of a larger fighter, but this is going to be great for your suppressions, it's going to be great for your Claim the Skies, and it's going to be great for the +3/+3, the third stage of Aunt Frida. Then we have 2 Panzer 3J Lates, and honestly, Panzer 3J Late is really good in this deck. This is a card that I've been very skeptical of since it came out. I didn't feel like it had a place in a lot of decks. I saw a lot of people playing it, and I tried it out in a variety of decks, and it just kept feeling kind of bad in all of the decks. It feels really good in this deck. You are frequently using the shock on the Panzer 3J Late. You are frequently triggering its veteran effect and then using the shock, or triggering the veteran effect and going face to put on sort of quicker pressure. It's very, very useful with all of these 4 attack fighters that you're going to have on the board. And then we have 2 copies of the SU-100, so this is just another tank that can trigger the 12th guards. It has 1 operation cost and blitz, so it's pretty good if you're just trying to hit face, if you're trying to trade out with something, if you're going to play this with the +2/+2 from the Aunt Frida. As well as you have 4 copies of the sickle, so you can trigger the damage on this to hit something for 8, which comes up fairly frequently. And then we have 2 Yak 9s on the top end, just another beefy fighter on the board. It's also going to get you a little bit of card draw. We have a T-34 85 1945. This is just, again, adding a bit of extra value to the deck. It's just a really beefy card. And another tank trigger. And then last but not least, we have the 4th Guards rifles. This one is just pretty self-explanatory. It's a really big guy, and it will often cost relatively cheap. And certain decks are going to be able to remove this quite easily with just something like a Dagger Strikes, but not all decks can remove this quite easily, and there's definitely been games against more aggressive decks, like, say, France or Aggro, or Air, where you just sort of slam down a 9/9 guard and they can't hit face anymore for the rest of the game, and then you'll probably just snowball out with your big tanks and your big fighters. So that is the deck list. Of course, the deck code will be in the description of the video. And yeah, the concept is that you're just going to be cycling through your entire deck with all of these 1-cost draw cards, and then you're just trying to put on pressure with your units on board. You're just trying to get a board presence, and you're trying to go face with a lot of these tanks, because they can end the game really quickly. Like SU on turn 3, and then you make it a 7/6 on turn 4 and attack face, and now they're on 13 health, and you have a 7/6 in the front line on turn 4. Most decks can't deal with that. You just win the game super, super quickly, a decent amount of the time, and then you can like follow up with like a big fighter plus Claim the Skies to remove a guard unit, and then hit face with the tank that you already had on board, plus you keep the big fighter on board for the following turn, and now it just snowballs really, really hard. And the early game is fairly consistent. Obviously, there's the chance of bricking where you draw all 4 12th guards mechanized and none of your tanks. Or you draw, like, 3 Fridas and no infantry. Or, like, 3 Claim the Skies and no fighters. Those are all possibilities. I've played this deck a fairly large amount, and I've really only bricked, like, twice. It's a shockingly consistent deck. You might have a couple turns where you're not able to do everything that you want. You're not able to get like the full use out of your hand because you're missing 1 or 2 tools in your hand on a given turn. But you'll usually find it within a turn or 2, because if you're not using the tools in your hand, you're probably drawing like 3 or 4 cards in a turn. And you'll very frequently end up with hands where it's like 8 cards in your hand, all of them cost 1, and 6 of the 8 draw cards. It's really, really funny. It's a really fun deck to play. I would highly recommend it. And now let's jump into some games and show off the deck. And in case you're wondering that, I'm just like, farming people in casual. I am playing this deck in top 50. So I think I started playing this deck at like around 2600. I'm up to 2700. Fairly high win rate. I haven't been tracking exactly, but it's easily over 70% win rate. So yeah, this is a really solid deck. Give it a try if you have the cards to play it. It uses a lot of the cards that are used in most of the German decks, plus just sort of the staple Soviet elite cards. So yeah, let's jump into the games.
What a performance there by J King.
J King, full plot armor.
J King is pushing himself into the ranks of the legend.
J King is our world champion! J King 7! What? The back-to-back Cards world champion!
Alright, first game against Germany. I like to keep suppression against Germany just because how important it is to suppress a Nakshub if it comes out early. Just Nakshub. Germany, you should typically beat Germany as long as they don't get a ton of extra credits for free. So if you can shut down something like a Nakshub, you're going to do quite well for yourself. And always keep 12th Guards mechanized, always keep Yak 7, basically. I'm not going to keep any of the tanks to trigger 12th Guards mechanized. I'd rather find an SU. And oftentimes, I actually just play out the 12th Guards mechanized on turn 1. If they remove it, they remove it. If they don't remove it, they don't remove it. In this situation, we have 3 of them. So we will suppress. We aren't going to get the draw out of it, but the alternative is playing out a unit, then risking he's able to remove it and then get the credits immediately. So let's just suppress it. And let's play out 2 12th Guards. On 3 credits, Germany's not going to have any AoE to get rid of this. Like, he's not going to Eagle Claws me. He might be able to remove one of these, but if he does, that's still fine. Something that I often do in this deck is just play with the 12th Guards fairly aggressively. Like, I'm kind of fine if they get hit. Now, obviously, there's exceptions. Like, if you're playing against discard and you're going first, don't play out, like, the only 12th mechanized in your hand, because they'll probably remove it and then you have no card draw. But if you're against, like, Aggro going second, just, like, throw out a 12th mechanized. If they remove it, they remove it. If they don't remove it, they don't remove it. You're gonna be able to draw cards almost certainly either way. So our opponent's putting on some pressure here. We can't take out the Jaeger, so we don't have a way of denying him that draw. But we'll probably just... Well, the question is, do we want an SU in the front line, or do we want 2 health? So what's certainly happening this turn? What's certainly happening this turn is this trade here. And this trade is certainly happening, but the question is, do we engineers to get 2 health, or do we push a 5-4 to the front line? We haven't seen his ally nation, but generally speaking, getting a 5-4 to the front line seems pretty good. His next turn is actually probably going to be Panzergren or Blitz Doctrine, knowing these types of decks. So I'm going to get the health. The worry is also that he's just going to do something like turn 6, start comboing me in the face. And I can probably end the game faster than him, but I want to be sure. Yeah, it's just going to be the Blitz Doctrine. It's a pretty good card. So I would love to just hit him in the face for 7. Probably not the greatest play ever. So I might just push up and then get another 12th Guard mechanized SU. I don't think he's going to be running Crossfire. His deck seems pretty aggressive. There's always the chance it's Crossfire. Absolutely, but we're going to take a little bit of a risk here, and pray he doesn't have Crossfire. Even if he does, Nakshub's shut down, he's probably not going to be able to deal 1 damage to one of these things. Like, if he, like, Buzz Bombs Crossfire to wipe the board, that'd be obviously not great. Also, just getting down multiple SUs rather than taking the hit is typically better against more aggressive decks, just because they aren't going to have those AoEs. They're not really going to have a punish for you going wide. So I want to hit face for 4, and I kind of want to suppress the Stug to get rid of the double damage against tanks and push, I guess. And by hit face for 4, I mean hit face for 10. Alternatively, what I can do is make this a 7-6 and push up, make this a 3-3 and push up. What's the punish? He has a big tank in hand. He could have the fight veteran one, but that doesn't really do anything. He could have blitz tanks get plus attack, but that doesn't really do anything. So I think we are just going to do this play. That way we get the second tank maneuver in hand. We keep a tank in the support line for the second tank maneuver. We also just make it slightly harder for him to make these trades. Alright. Gets the draw on Jaeger. Doesn't get the credits, but suppressing that Max Troop turn 1 was so important for us. Okay, another Whirlwind. 35T, so he is able to trade out everything. He's not able to take the front line, though. So let's start with a Rado. Okay, then we will go for the Sickle. This is happening for sure. Then we'll get the tank maneuver and toss down an infantry. You overdraw with this deck a lot. Like, look at that. We've drawn 5 more cards than our opponent, and our opponent's played 2 Jaeger regiments. Okay, so now we see his ally nation. Doesn't matter, he is super dead. And we just double air support. Man, people, it's consistently air support. People just don't, like, just look at the card in your hand. Or they forget a Rado's a fighter. But yeah, we just absolutely raffle stomped Joe France. And not Joe France with, like, the brick. That was a Joe France who had a really good hand. And, yeah, this deck just doing what it does. So, yeah, again, this deck, really, really good. Let's get into the next game. Alright, game 2 against Germany, who full mulligans. So probably not Joe Finn. Not keeping claim to skies going first, because our only fight is a Rado, and we're probably not keeping a Rado going first. Zukov, I'm going to keep it. It's because this deck is 22 1-drops, and of those 22 1-drops, I think it's like 16 of them draw cards. It's really difficult sometimes to make mulligans, especially going first. Okay, picking up an early 4th guards. 4th guards off of Zukov is so good, just getting the blitz back on this guy. Sure, US. Okay, this is probably going to pick up a mechanized. Engineers. This might be the worst draw we could have gotten off of Zukov. I think we just double trade. It's not super efficient, but I just don't want this to get suppressed. Well, I suppose I could engineers hit face. Like, is he gonna... Well, he also might shoot in me. We'll see if we draw a sickle here. No sickle, but we pick up the late. So next turn we can just, like, play the late hit face. Get this down to 2, depending on what he does. He's probably gonna, like, Panzergren here. Maybe War Bonds, depending on the deck. Panzergren. Alright. So I actually think I'd rather get the SU down. And that's because he's probably going to 35T Combined Arms, hit Chaika. And then I'm going to suppress the 35T and have to trade into it. So I want to do that for a credit cheaper. Also get the healing off of the Eshak dying. Not a Chaika. Right, research. Man, this is the annoying thing about playing this deck against Germany, is the absolute swing of them having Reich research versus not having Reich research is crazy. Okay, well, we got our Rado down. Do I just want a Blitz Doctrine, actually? It seems like the best opportunity we're going to have to Doctrine this game. Alright, that's actually really good options off the Doctrine. He hasn't Doctrined this game. Is there Restore Suppression? Okay. That's kind of annoying. That's quite bad, actually. So I could errado Fourth Guards, suppress the 35T, and then 35T of my own kill 35T. That leaves him with a decent crossfire. I think that's still the best play. Claim the skies. Not too useful. This does mean he doesn't have a tank for the tank maneuver here, so there's a much higher chance that we'll be able to fight the Restore before it gets buffed. This is... This is a bit of an awkward situation. Okay, Hipper. Is he just gonna go face? Like, we're out of healing, but... Okay, Calliope goes face. So we can't do a lot with Claim Disguise here. It's clearly going to be a Panzer 4H. The question is, what are we hitting with it? It's got to be the Zerstorer. Now, if he just, like, keeps going face, like, if he comments here, it's probably pretty over. Alright, 35T, number 2 tank maneuver. He can go face for 10. Man, that Hipper was so brutal. We're a credit off of being able to fully clear the board. I could technically fully clear the board going down to 1 health. Is that a higher chance of surviving? I think we go for it. It sets us up with a bunch of damage on board. Is this actually... It's 1 credit off lethal next turn? Yikes. Okay, well, this is... He probably got the Havoc. If he didn't get the Havoc or the one that adds a gunship to hand, we actually have a decent chance here. Oh, he's just gonna... Okay. Interesting. Well, we have only 1 play to not die on board, so let's make it. And then we're probably dead to, like, B24D, I'm going to assume. Yep. Alright. I mean, yeah, that was a tough loss. The Vike research on the first SU was really bad. And then the Hipper on the fourth guards was just backbreaking. But, hey, it's a deck. It loses sometimes. Let's get into the next game. Alright, we have another Germany. And they keep 3 cards. Sickle isn't, like, the most useful card in the world against Germany. I think I'd rather have a turn 1 mechanized. That's exactly what we pick up. Even going second, I'd, like... You know, Germany these days doesn't run any 1 health units on 1. And probably don't run any 1 health units, period, but... Okay, we got met with another turn 1 Nakshub. Unfortunate. Last time we saw turn 1 Nakshub, I suppressed it rather than playing 12th guard mechanized, because I said I didn't want to risk him having it. Unfortunately, we do not have a suppression, so... we will just play out Chaika. He didn't have 35T last turn, so I'm assuming he's not going to have it. Is he going to... He upgrades. Okay, this guy's just bad. So in this situation, one, I'm almost certainly setting up an SU. So just having the flying bomb. Not playing the research is absolutely correct. Like, I think it would have been a mistake for him to flying bomb the mechanized, for example, unless he has another answer for SU in hand. Like he has like a tactical strike or something. I think flying bombing the mechanized would have been a mistake, but would have been much, much better than doing what my opponent did, would have been to upgrade the flying bomb and then not play the flying bomb, just have it in your hand. Like, I get that he's a discard deck, and he wants to go for the tier 3 research because it lets him discard 2 cards, but that's just not the correct play for him to be going for. I think I would rather claim this guy Nakshub here than push up. Like, I know it doesn't actually kill Nakshub, and I know it just gets a red of a card in my hand, but I want to get rid of Nakshub eventually, and it's going to cost credits, and I feel like pushing up a guy is just going to give him credits off of Nakshub. I don't know if he's going to, like, shits in it or something, but... I could suppress it now. And then I can claim this guy's go face, go face. Seems pretty good. So like, just like that, we dealt 8 damage in 1 turn on turn 5. That's what I love about this deck, is it's not about like Aggro-style constant aggression from turn 1. So now we know it's Finish Ally, which is really good for us, because it's basically Alpenfesting or bust in terms of healing. Okay, does he run countermeasures? Doesn't appear so. Well, it could be like friendly fire, I suppose. But yeah, as I was saying, it's not about constant face pressure like Aggro from turn 1, but it's just about building up these boards that are capable of killing your opponent in like 2 or 3 turns. And then finding the right moment to sort of put that plan into action. Okay, discards pack 40. Well, let's start with Sickle, because that's happening for sure. And then, yeah, we're just going to take it, get the damage in. He kind of has to Alpenfesting this turn if he has it in hand. Unless he has, like, a really good clear. Okay, Panzer H. He picked that so fast. Okay, so that's probably Alpenfesting in his hand. So rather than going face this turn and not killing him, let us instead just, like, set up. Okay, so this way we sort of force him to play Alpenfestung if he has it in hand. And if he does, it's such a big whiff of a turn that he's not really doing anything else. Alright. Discarding the late is really annoying. We didn't have lethal either way, but it means that we're still stuck on these tank maneuvers for the time being. So let's drop some sickles into this guy. Huge draw. Alright, we got another mechanized. Oh, I don't want to trade off this errato so badly. But I think it is the best way forward. Clear up the front line. He's still on 4 health. Contest Doctrine and Reich Research at tier 2. He's played both wolf packs. He can, like, annihilate this. It's kind of his entire turn. Managed to discard both of our blitz tanks, though. And did he discard, like, an SU-100 earlier in this game? I feel like the first wolf pack... I vaguely remember having an SU-100 in my hand at some point, but it is... Alpenfestung. Okay, this guy was playing with fire. But now that Alpenfestung's gone, we should be able to win from the deep hard run in the deck. Panzergren gone. Prolonged Siege, that's bad. Sudden Strike, that's bad. Suppression, that's bad. Errato, that's bad. Through the Breach, that's bad. Okay, well, very low impact Alpenfestung. What did he... Okay, so he Jaegered on this. Interesting. Oh. Probably setting up a crossfire. I would love to just get him in the face. And that is exactly what I'm gonna do. Can you imagine if that was a friendly fire? Okay, so Alpenfestung's gone, so he has no way of healing, so this is just his permanent health total for the rest of the game. We didn't see any annihilations go, but that also might mean he just doesn't run them. I know some people don't run them. Hipper is fine. We're still threatening a lot of damage here. Molotov cocktail. Okay. Hmm. So what's definitely happening is 1 air support go and this goes face. Absolutely is the minimum that's happening. That puts him to 9. And I'm thinking I would want to get down the other yak rather than going for double air support. Well, the other yak, I say as if this is a yak. I think I want to do this. And I could suppress now. I want to hold on to the suppress. We haven't seen any Finish Boys yet. And he might guard up with the Finish Boys as, like, his plan to survive. We've seen Hipper and 2 Wolf Packs, and I don't think he's running Annihilations, so that should make it very difficult for him to remove any of this. Contest Doctrine hasn't been played, so he can only get up to a 5/5 that can kill Zerstorer. Yeah, the reason I didn't want to double stack is he does run suppressions. So I was worried that I double stack and he just suppresses and then I can't play Yak. Okay, discards Comet. That's huge. Suppress doesn't really do anything at this point. But with Comet gone, he probably can't kill me from hand. Let's see. He has 8 damage in the front line. If he has shifting attack, he can get an additional 5. So 13. If I play SU, I go down to 2. Shifting attack is 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. He can top deck 3rd Molotov. And I die if I play SU. I think we're going to get the air support down now. And just go face. And pray he doesn't have Leopold. Top deck Sky Barons. Okay, that's problematic, but at least he'll be trading out. Him having all these units in the front line is really annoying, because it means I can't just dump the board, because he can set up an easy crossfire. He's on 2 health with 5 cards in deck, though, so we don't have to survive that long. Does have shifting attack. Alright, SU-100, we can trade out. We can draw. Alright, lethal setup, and the Eshak is actually, or the Chike is really annoying for him to get through. Because both versions of it currently kills him. There's the Finish Boys. Okay, well, we're probably not doing HQ damage this game. There's no way he just hard runs Stranglehold, right? Like, no shot. Okay, we take the 35T. Now we can't play Mouse or he dies. I want to kind of play Contest Doctrine to find our own Mouse. No Mouse. I think we take the Panzer 3E. Because he still has Leopold in the deck, probably. So just playing down a big guard isn't too helpful. Is Mouse actually exact lethal? I don't know if Engineers heals or not, if he plays Mouse. Okay. Well, he still hasn't played a Crossfire, so I don't want to trade in a way that makes it awkward to go for Crossfire. So let's do this. He still has to set up Lethal. Or we have Lethal set up. Leopold doesn't save him. Unless he has, like, Leopold Jaeger to the front line. Panzer 3H, he's down to 2 cards, so we win in 3 turns. And he doesn't have Comet, and he doesn't have Shifting Attack. He's out of Guards, he's out of Heal. Okay, he stays alive. But he also draws a card. Should have Jaegered his own guy. And he surrenders. Alright. A mildly nerve-wracking game. But we did get the win in the end. So yeah, let's get to the next one. Alright, Soviets is gonna be a fun match. I'm gonna keep Mechanized. I'm not gonna play Mechanized on 1. Because we're against Soviets. Oh, I would love to keep Doctrine. Just because Soviets is probably gonna be a long grinding match. Although, honestly, you can actually steamroll Soviets pretty hard. So I do think we will mulligan like this. Honestly, maybe we will play out a 12 cards Mechanized. It makes him play off curve, no Fiat. And we do have 2 in hand. Nah. Now let's just wait till turn 4, play it safe. Ooh, Yak 7, great draw. I was about to say, I don't even feel great about playing Chaika into this board, because I'm not really doing anything with it. Yak 7, even if it gets traded out in a turn, still draws me a card. If it gets double sickled, that's obviously unfortunate, but... Alright, does Chaika go face? He trades and we can play out both of these without any issue. If he doesn't trade, then we have a pretty decent chance of drawing into like a punish. He's not gonna trade. Interesting. I could SU and then Mechanized. It avoids overdraw if he doesn't kill Yak. He'll probably kill Yak. Might even double trade here. The idea is I want him to spend credits operating this, or I want to pick up a suppression. Okay, so he seems very interested in killing the Mechanized. Now he goes for the card draw. Presumably he will push this up to try to get me to trade with it. Or it'll go for heroes. That's definitely a mistake on his part. We'll probably just go for a Yak 9. Unless we draw suppress. I could actually go for the draw now. I like this play a little bit better. Honestly, the main reason I like this play is it baits him into making a mistake. It's kind of bad for him to spend his entire turn, like, pushing, attacking. Because we potentially get, like, a huge credit swing. Essentially, I want him to invest 4 credits into moving and attacking with this T-34. We get a lot out of that. Hits there. Interesting. So he just wants to maximize his healing rather than getting units off the board. Means he probably has a board clear. But that just makes this trade super easy. Um, how do we want to do this? We have the sickle now, so we can kill this without needing to sacrifice. Do I Zukov first? I don't think I'm Zukoving this turn. We have a pretty good chance of hitting the 4th guards, though, which is 2 extra discounts. Nah, I don't think we're Zukoving this turn. I think I would rather just get everything up and go face. We want to put pressure on our opponent. He's probably playing a fairly greedy control deck if he's got the T-34-76. Which means we want to try to put him under as much pressure as possible. Because if we just sit back and try to outvalue him, he will probably outvalue us. Because his deck probably costs like 70 credits more than ours. Mobile defenses are really difficult for this deck to deal with because there's not really any AoEs. Okay. Shows his minor nation, which means he almost certainly has Bomber Mafia. How much do I value getting damage in? I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 credits left over. Zukov Chaika. Alright, we're definitely doing this, we're definitely doing this, definitely doing this, and definitely doing this. The question is, do I trade or not? Honestly, I don't think so. He should have fairly limited healing. So he should probably start to feel under pressure at 11. And, like, I don't think him being able to make this trade here is going to matter a whole lot. Is he going to go face there? That's wild. Okay, well, we're certainly suppressing the guard here. Am I just dropping him to 8? I think we drop him to 8 but play the Yak, so he doesn't just get an easy trade. Okay. You should have limited guards and next to no healing on demand. I'm hoping that this forces a... Like, worst case is just, like, sickle trade. But then that puts me, what, 2 off lethal on board. Or I guess just the worst case is just go face, because I don't actually have any extra burn in hand. Is that really what he did? Okay. That's so risky. It's just lethal with Claim the Skies, which he knows I have in deck. Okay, what's the play here? 2, 9. That's 5, 7, 8, 10. I can survive on 2 health. If I find Claim the Skies, it's lethal. Well, he called my bluff, I guess. It's not really a bluff. It's, well, I suppose it is a bluff. He called, I'm not gonna trade and just gonna, yeah, okay. Oh, that's so annoying, dude. And he top decked lethal too. Alright. I had what, like 8 cards in hand for 1 damage? And he could have, like, he could have set up lethal while still making it harder. Like, if he M10s the Chaika, the 2-1 Chaika, and then hits it, he's removing 2 damage from the board. I'm left with 5 damage. I need 3 damage from hand. That's much harder. But that's a depressing loss. We can't end on that one. We need to do another game. All right, Britain. There's been a sharp rise in Brit Air in the last like 24 hours, so we're gonna keep playing this, guys. I'm gonna keep engineers. Honestly, I could keep like this entire hand. I'm not gonna go that crazy in on the air units, mostly because it does. Brit Air is much more focused on fighters these days. Pioneer Company. Alright. Turn 1 Pioneer is much scarier than turn 1 Engineers. Oh, turn 1 Pioneer into turn 2 Convoy. Some openers remain the same throughout the ages of cards. I mean, I can't complain too much. I've turned 1 Engineers, turn 2 Yak. No. Okay. Alright, well, we definitely claimed this guy's in this. Do I just do double claim this guy's and go face? I think so. Keep him off of war bonds. We know he's a US ally, so it's probably ramp. And we're just going to go full aggression. We're not going to stop to draw cards. We are just going to start putting on the face damage. He'll probably play Glamour Boys here. Suppression would be best case scenario. We don't get the suppression, but we are just going to keep the pressure on. Unless he has, like, duress into wave after wave, I think we're pretty chill. Albacore. So he doesn't have the tank. The Matilda or the Cromwell. I always forget which one it is. Draw last. Ooh, here's the question. Do I want to play into Boyd Clears? And I think the answer is yes. I'm actually going to do this. To just cycle 2 cards in my hand. Like, I overdraw 2 cards of Yak Sticks. If Yak Sticks, I'm probably winning the game, though. You has to kill a Yak. Monty's that one? Wave after wave off the top. Not off the Monty up, but like off the other draw. And this is just lethal, assuming he does not have unexpected resistance, which he doesn't. And that is how you go aggressive with this deck. Yeah, that's a good game to end on. You know, showing the aggression that's capable from this deck. I mean, we went long. We won on fatigue against Germany, Finland discard. We won on turn 8 against ramp. We absolutely dominated Germany, France. And of course, we did have that very sad loss to the T-34 deck. And I mean, we win that game a decent chunk of the time. one off lethal. But then we also what was the other game? There was another loss in there, but you know what? I'm showing the wins. I'm showing the losses. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Very fun deck. Again, deck code is in the description. And of course, you can expect other videos similar to this, showing off some fun decks, showing off some high ladder gameplay, as well as some more meta stuff like elite tier lists, like potentially tournament breakdowns, other stuff like that, patch reviews, all of that type of content is done on this channel, so subscribe if you have not already, and I will catch all of y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching.